Oh, the countdown was wrong, Tony. It said we had 5 seconds left.
Tony jumped the gun.
But I like our star wipe. Hello, everyone.
There's a star wipe?
There was a star wipe.
I was looking at the camera. I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome.
I gotta scoot over to line up better with my name.
What's happening? Welcome to the Dev Chat here at Privateer Press for Wednesday, October 14th.
Yeah.
2019.
It's still the 14th all week long.
For those of you who've never joined us before, we stream at least twice a week here at Privateer Press.
Sometimes more.
Always Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. Usually myself and Oz on, the members of the development team, where we talk about what's going on in the various games that we make. Today we'll be talking about Riot Quest and a little bit of Warmachine as well.
A little bit.
Thursdays is Get Your Paint On with Jordan Lamb, where Jordan paints the miniatures that we make and talks to you about hobby tips and tricks. And then we do two other shows kind of sporadically. We try to hit them at least once a month. Staff Showdown, we just did the most recent one yesterday, where we get on and play the games we make. We played a narrative game of Warmachine yesterday with Faye and Lauren. And then Hobby Hangout, usually with Danny Samuel, sometimes with Brian, which is the conversion and terrain making show. And also just like hobby cleaning and the not painting part of our hobby.
Brian's been showing a lot of assembly tricks and tips on that show, which is good for a lot of people that are coming in brand new and never pinned a metal model before or whatever. And that November 19th Staff Showdown date, that is going to be that late in the month because of Warfare Weekend, right, Tony?
Yeah.
So early next month, we're going to be in St. Louis streaming, because we usually stream outside the studio a couple times a year, Lock and Load and Warfare Weekend. And so we're going to be a little bit out of whack schedule-wise, because everything's going to be shipping and reshipping and shipping again.
And we'll have more details about how we're covering that schedule in the weeks to come.
Yeah. But if you're surprised that we're going to be over a month between Staff Showdowns, it's because we're going to lose some time in the studio with all the equipment.
We're going to be playing games at Warfare Weekend.
Yeah. So yeah, lots more games will get shown earlier in the month than are normal because of streaming at a con.
Speaking of streaming, if you haven't heard, we are doing subscriptions on Twitch now. You can subscribe, show your love and support for us, and in return, you will get some super sweet emojis for use in Twitch, including the Gubbin, Hamilton. We just added 2 new ones, Chibi Eris and Chibi Ashlyn, and as we get more subs, we hit these sort of like goals that allow us to add more emojis. So we are only a few away from getting the next one, which would be the Monpok Donut Factory.
Yeah. And anybody who subscribes gets that Scully shield as their avatar thing on the chat.
Yep.
So all those people in there are subscribers. Thanks for subscribing. Also, I saw it in the chat already. Somebody was saying that they haven't quite figured out the Twitch Prime thing yet. It's super, super simple. If you have an Amazon Prime account, it can be connected to your Twitch because of ownership and everything. And then all you have to do to subscribe to anybody once a month is click a button, and it's totally free to you because Twitch Prime has 1 free subscription per month. And it wears out every month, so you have to redo it. So if you gave it to somebody last month, then it's free to give to us this month.
I love Papa Oz tutorials.
It was very timely. I don't know how to do it. I haven't done it for a while because I turned mine on like
the Papa Oz tutorial worked because Coriander just subscribed on Twitch Prime.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you know, the Oz doesn't say it in a way to make you feel bad, but you always do after a Papa Oz tutorial.
Hey, you know.
Real fast before we get into today's meat and potatoes, let's talk about the current mini crates. So this thing is the last week. Yeah, this is the last week for Lil Fenris. You can pick up your Little Fenris if you order anytime this week, and of course you can get your VIP model, the Transfer Dancer, if you do a 6-month sub. For you Legend of the 5 Rings fans, Akodo is available now until November 5th.
Yep.
That model looks sweet. Yep. I wonder if the headpiece is a separate bit. Probably not. It's probably sculpted onto the head.
I have no idea.
But I would give so many gators that headpiece if it was separate. Oh, King Conan with that headpiece on top of my Dracodial.
Yeah.
And for speaking of King Conan, the Savage Mini Crate El Borak is now available until
that
November.
just changed over a couple days ago.
Yep. And of course, King Conan on the throne is your rockin' VIP. So let's get started. Let's just talk about things. So what we're talking about today is we're talking about the next set of Riot Quest models that are going to be hitting stores. We're going to show you their hero stat cards, kind of talk about their place in the game, what the intent to, like their role, what we intend you to do with them. We're going to show the gear cards that comes with each one. And then because the highly anticipated pig tank model is in this group, we know there's a lot of Warmachine and Hordes fans that have been wanting to see what this does, because this one's going to be really unique. All the other Riot Quest models are characters, playable in Riot Quest first and foremost, but they have rules in Warmachine as well that you can play there. But they're always just a character model.
Yeah.
With the pig tank, it has been engineered in such a way that when you buy the pig tank model, you can put it with the top hatch up with Leadfoot coming out of the top pointing and screaming. And that is Leadfoot and Treads, the character. We'll talk more about the actual character here in a bit and sort of what they're all about. Or you can put it with the hatch down, and then it just becomes a generic pig tank. So for Warmachine Hordes, we made 2 sets of rules for those. Leadfoot and Treads, the character, and then an FA2 pig tank solo. And the 2 of them work pretty well together.
And if you want to paint less for Riot Quest, just leave the hatch down.
No, put it up.
My Mad Hammer, Rulik guy.
You have the helmet down.
Helmet closed.
The helmet looks cool, though.
Close all the hatches.
He's
Batten those hatches down.
He's like a wee little crazy Bioshock. He's like a big daddy. He's a little daddy.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't have to put the Leadfoot coming out of that hatch if you're playing Riot Quest.
But you should.
If you want to paint less hat.
So let's jump into the first character.
And these are November releases.
These are November releases. Because we talk. Everybody knows what all the October ones do already. And they're already out.
They just came out,
So Boss MacHorn is the first one we'll talk about, and this is Sam MacHorn from Sam MacHorn and the Devil Dogs. She's rocking by herself now. The Devil Dogs probably all got gibbed in the apocalypse.
Probably.
And to survive in the harsh timeline that is Riot Quest, she has built herself a custom like Iron Head sort of suit, but it's her own design. One thing is it has retractable rocket fists on it. Like they shoot out, punch things, or grab loot she needs and yanks back.
So it's another melee attack at more than one range.
At more than one.
Not quite as much as Krawtooth, but a little bit more range.
So she's got Des stats. Speed 4, Def 3, 6, 3 stamina, and that is sort of the, I am a heavily armored, but not like crazy mega armored character. She is a guard because in all that armor, she's really good in jumping in front and taking the shots. So she has Safeguard, like all guards. It gives everyone else in the crew cover. She has Toss, a special action that basically lets you pick any other model within 2 spaces of her, friendly or foe, and push it. You make it leap, like Dreyfus.
She's my favorite movement shenanigans piece because not only can she move friends, like the pig tank we'll see in a second, but she can also move enemies.
Yes.
So if any model on the table near her is not where you want it to be,
or near the death trap,
or anything like that, you can put a model where you want it to be, friend or foe. And that flexibility makes her really awesome when it comes to speeding friends up, or slowing enemies down, or death trapping somebody, or whatever.
And we see her Rocket Punch has a new ability that you'll see again here in a bit, but Dismantle. Basically, if she punches somebody that has gear on them, she gets 2 red dice. So normally she's range 2, 3 blue, but if you punch somebody who's equipped gear, you are 3 blue, 2 red. And that's not including any gear you might have on yourself. So she punishes people that have gear on her. Really strong piece. And again, when you look at, Riot Quest has been designed MOBA style, and it's because there's no point costs. So everybody in the same class needs to be comparable. So when you look at the other guards we have James. James does not hit nearly as hard as Boss MacHorn, nor does she have the utility of Toss. But she has the I can take hits for other people and I hurt you if you hit me.
She's the best bodyguard because not only does she have Safeguard, but she has those other abilities on top that stack.
And she has higher base stats.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dreyfus, who has similar stats to Boss MacHorn, but has flank. So he's got the utility of making the rest of your crew hit better. He also has leap for his own personal mobility.
He has a jetpack,
So we have 3 guards that can all protect people, but they do it in very different ways. MacHorn can yank friends over to her for guard, whereas Dreyfus can leap next to him, and James just kind of wants to stick on people the whole time. The gear she comes with is one of my favorites, the portable crane. So whoever you put it on gets a new special action that when you use it, you pick a model within 4 spaces of them and you put it adjacent to the equipped hero. This lets you yank people from friggin' downtown. You put this on Flugwug and he's like, I'll move 5, jump 3, raid a treasure chest 3 away, and also I'm gonna yank you next to me.
Well, any of those movement shenanigan models like Dreyfus or the rogues that can move through people. This is a really, really powerful positioning piece.
It comes in the MacHorn blister, and of course, all the gear cards are neutral. You can use them on anybody.
Yeah.
But it is really good on her in that you can yank somebody with the portable crane and then toss. Well, you can't toss them the same turn because they're both special actions.
Yep.
But if you need them in a special place, you can yank them over and then say you Balthazar off. You can then toss them later on.
Yeah.
It lets you set up in 2 different ways how you want to kind of do things with her. So let's look at the next hero, which is Weird Windell. Weird Windell comes in the Spawn Gate set. So he's not an individual blister. The Spawn Gate expansion is going to be 6 Spawn Gates that you can put on, like 6 Spawn Gate models.
Yep.
A new bounty deck. And then the Weird One himself,
Windell.
Weird Windell, who is a nerd
Look at him.
with a butterfly net,
Yeah.
a backpack full of gremlins, and a slingshot for slinging gremlins at folks.
Yeah, conceptually, he's one of my favorite heroes because he's been collecting gremlins since the apocalypse and weaponizing them.
And weaponizing them.
Yeah,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You
to
can't
survive.
see the slingshot in this art, but that there's a gremlin like holding on to the slingshot, screaming, ready to go. So he's got them tamed in some capacity. He's like bribing them with cogs and gears.
I think he's just capturing. Yeah, or he's
whatever.
baiting them. Right?
Yeah.
So here we see a new specialist character, and this is definitely one of the stranger specialists. Because when we look at specialists not great at combat typically,
Not usually, yeah.
but have a very, very strong utility ability. Balthazar's in power, Widget's engineer, plus she flies.
Yep.
So Windell's got Tinker, like all specialists, but he kind of goes in a mixed role. He's got Annoyance, which says all enemies within 2 spaces of him lose a boost die on all of their attacks to a minimum of 0.
Yeah.
So you want to put him somewhere. He doesn't have the best defensive stats. He's only 3/4 stamina 3, so he's a little bit squishy. But unlike the other specialists, he can potentially do a fair amount of damage with the flung gremlin. It's range 4. It's 2 blue, but it also has dismantle, giving you 2 red dice if you hit somebody who has gear on
and
it.
he's the first specialist with a gun, right?
He is the first specialist with a
So
gun.
positioning that Tinker ability with him is a little easier.
Yes.
Because he can still reach out and hit people and be close to friends without. If Balthazar wants to punch somebody, then he's probably leaving his friends, so he's not giving them that Tinker ability. And Widget running across the table to rig something to win the game, maybe she's not going to be near friends, but he's going to be hanging out with his buddies while he launches gremlins at people.
Windell, in my opinion, is a specialist who wants a guard nearby.
Yeah.
He wants to be near someone who's giving him cover, and at the same time, he's providing annoyance. So he is one of the specialists that I think is a little bit more dependent on others, but does provide a fairly strong benefit to everyone else.
Yeah.
The gear he comes with got one of my favorite pieces of art in the entire gear set, the Scrambler. So...
Well, it's gremlin related, of course.
It's a gremlin inside a little, and I love that the gremlin, it looks really angry and it's trying to punch its way out of its little containment field. It's just like, yeah. That's the sound of gremlins, by the way.
Well, yeah, everybody knows that.
This gear card is utility / screwy / chaos.
Oh, yeah.
If a model would spawn to a spawn gate within 2 spaces of this model, so whoever's equipped, if somebody would spawn to a spawn gate and that spawn gate is within 2 spaces of the equipped model, you choose which spawn gate they go to instead. So if you really don't want, say, Bella showing up at the 4 or the 5 or whatever, have somebody with a Scrambler nearby and just, you rolled that, boink.
More importantly, if you don't want someone showing up on one of the 2 boats,
Yes.
because all the spawn gates are close together on the Hole Grinder map.
Yes.
So you can lock down a boat with this piece of gear and just say, no, you're not spawning on my boat. This boat is mine. You spawn on the other boat.
You go to Narnia.
Yeah.
You leave me alone.
Yeah.
So Scrambler is probably not one of the pieces of gear you're going to reach for first when you're building your hand. You're probably going to get your weapon and your defensive pieces. But when you go for utility, especially depending on the map you're playing on, Scrambler has a lot of use and it's cheap.
It's super cheap, especially when you get Tinker into play.
Yeah. So let's look at the one I think most people have been waiting for.
The most exciting.
Let's look at
model.
the Riot Quest rules for Leadfoot and Treads. So we have a gunner, speed 4, def 4, 8.
Well, it's a construct, so that second 8 is because it's made of metal.
Super damaging tanks is hard. He's got aim, and then he has one of the most powerful abilities in the game.
this is one of the things I liked the most when we were like brainstorming what these models could do, because this is the first 50 millimeter model. Also, this is a big model. It's on a large base, so the idea that other people could just grab onto it and ride it is just cool.
Or just stand on top of it. So he's got ride along. When this model spends an action die to run, you can choose another model in your crew adjacent to it. That's before you move. After you move, you can then yoink the moved model with you. So when we think about portable crane, again, if you put that on Leadfoot and Treads, you can actually use the special action first, yank somebody next to you, then move right along and dump them wherever you want to.
Because this ability costs nothing except moving. There's no additional cost to it. It's just if you move this model, then someone adjacent to it can move with it.
Somebody in your crew.
Because
there's something coming later.
A friend.
There's something coming later that lets you do this to enemies. And then he has Point Blank, the first appearance of Point Blank in Riot Quest. Because his snub-nosed cannon, range 4, 3 blue, and he's a gunner. But if he's adjacent to the person he's attacking, he gets 2 red dice. So he rolls up on folks and just blasts them. So when we look at our other gunners, we have Dez, right? Dez can't be moved by enemy effects and abilities, which is a really strong ability. And then she's got beat back on the bazooka and just base 3 blue, 1 red.
She's got a really high quality gun.
So we see where she's at in terms of like a comparison to Leadfoot and Treads. While he has the utility of being able to move other people around and can potentially hit a little bit harder, he doesn't have the beat back and he doesn't have the same immunity that she has as well.
And the boots is one of my favorite pieces of gear to give this. Because it speeds them up, so you get better ride along, but you also get more point blank. Because being able to get that one, or even if it's one space further, that might be all the distance you needed to really pull that point blank off.
And when we compare him to Boomhowler, who's also very different, Boomhowler can make 2 attacks in a turn and gives a bonus blue die to everybody around him, right? So if, again, you can kind of see what we're trying to do here with Riot Quest is that we have these roles and like Dez, Leadfoot, Boomhowler, all clearly gunners. Like their main purpose is to shoot, but they do it in very different ways. And I've said it before, it's inevitable that at some point in Riot Quest, there'll be like tier lists, like fighting games, right? Like there's going to be like S tier characters, A tier characters, but we're trying to keep everybody within the same class close to each other to where, 3 years from now, where we're well into the Riot Quest, you're still going to look at like Dez and be like, I still play with Dez. Like we don't want you to buy a hero model and feel like it ever becomes invalidated. But like we know that some will end up just being stronger or weaker than others. Just as we try and keep that divide as low as we can.
But that also depends on how you want to play the game. If you're playing the game to completely min-max everything and win every time, you're making different decisions than I just want to play a chaotic game where every time I do anything, one of your models moves around the table.
So real fast, something like the community, the Riot Quest Facebook general group's up to like 900 people now. And the community has been talking a lot about their ways of playing the game, and I love it. I love that people are coming up with their own stuff. And we talked previously about drafting. Drafting's hard to do at tournaments because that means somebody would have to provide all of it, but at your house, a lot of people are getting all the models. They'll be the one person that has all the models. When their friends come over, they have a little quick draft and everybody drafts. But I think it was Sam on there recently posted an idea of what they did is all the models are available at all times. And when you spawn, you pull from the pool.
You don't have a bench.
You don't have a bench.
There's one bench.
There's a shared bench for everybody. And when you spawn, you just go, I'll take this person, I'll take this person, I'll take this person.
So when you knock somebody out, you might be knocking them out so that you could spawn them yourself.
Correct. You might be.
But they might get
I don't remember how he said they were handling the cooler, obviously, because coolers are usually individual. I guess that somebody makes a rule for all heroes in the cooler. It'd be easy enough to sort out. But I think that's really fun. Let's look at the gear card that comes with Leadfoot and Treads. It is the most expensive one released yet, the homing beacon.
That's because it's taking a lot of the random out of the game.
When you have something that lets you just go, I'm going to completely ignore this major rule of the game, and it's only going to apply to me, it's real expensive. Homing beacon, when you spawn a hero, you don't have to roll for the gate. You can just put it next to whoever's equipped.
So it makes the hero a gate, and it turns off random spawning. It's ridiculously powerful, which is why it's super expensive.
Also, it's pretty funny that this comes in the Leadfoot and Treads blister, because we try to keep things that are like kind of thematically close and also are not necessary for that hero, but they're good on
But
them.
some functionality, yeah.
If you homing beacon Leadfoot and Treads and you spawn somebody next to them, then Leadfoot and Treads go,
Yeah,
and then they
just
ride
drag them
along,
along, yeah.
and then they put them wherever they want to. It's just like an immediate combo that is just good almost every time you do it. So that's the Riot Quest rules and the gear cards for those 3 that are coming up. But I know a lot of people have been wanting to see what they do in Warmachine and Hordes as well. So before we get to the Warmachine and Hordes rules, let's see if we have any questions from Twitch or Facebook regarding what we've talked about so far.
Somebody is asking, since this is a 50 millimeter base,
Yeah.
and Tony's been using bigger bases as rings under models when marking things.
Oh, how you
What
gonna-
would you do?
Scrunchies.
There's still, when you stack bases, they don't completely cover each other. So you could still put painted 50 mils under a 50 mil. It just wouldn't be as blatantly obvious. But there's no other real option because the hexes in the game are also 50 millimeter. We made the hexes big enough to hold a big base. Yeah. So if you put something slightly bigger under that model, then it's going to overspill. But it's not going to matter that much because a lot of those models are tiny, so you get a little bit of wiggle room. There's just not something as easy as grabbing the next base size up, because the next base size up is 120, and that
It's not going to
won't really work.
Somebody says character shredder for Riot Quest. Yes, there is going to be a character shredder coming for Riot Quest. The Mecha Shredder. I love his he has a giant key in his back, he's like a wind-up toy, like somebody who's just. Oh, you are deep in the comments right now.
Well, Tony highlighted something.
Yeah, but we're ignoring that. I see that you are deep. I'm talking and you were full on laser focused.
You talk as much as you want. You do whatever you want. I'm reading.
And Striker wants to know, how did the Leadfoot and Treads model pitch meeting go? That one was pretty simple.
we said little tank, and people were like, cool. We said driven by pygmy trolls, and then we were like, okay then.
And it was done.
It was basically done.
So a little bit of backstory for Leadfoot and Treads before we move on. That's not their tank.
No.
So Leadfoot and Treads are actually a pair of hooligans.
Yeah.
And they stole that tank. And in fact, that hat
And the hat.
belongs to the real General Leadfoot.
Uh-huh.
And they're just a pair of thugs that stole that from someone else, and now they're riding around.
Hey, if you see...
But no one knows that.
If you see a tiny tank, also it's the apocalypse.
Sure.
But if you see a little tiny tank, you want to drive it around.
Sure. But nobody, he put the hat on, and he's like, yeah, I'm Leadfoot.
Yeah, why not?
And this is Treads. You never heard of him? What's wrong with you? Let's go. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, no, that's Leadfoot and Treads. All right, let's go ahead and let's jump into the Warmachine rules, shall we? So, as mentioned earlier in the show, there's going to be 2 versions, a character version and a non-character version. So first, the character version, Leadfoot and Treads.
Yep.
They are a minion partisan troll blood, so you'll be able to use them in Crow Company and will work for food.
Yeah.
Cost 7, 12 damage boxes, 12/18. Speed 6, Mat 6, Rat 7. That's pretty good for a pig.
It's a character, so
It's not that bad for a pig. Let's talk about the actual tank itself. So first off, the tank treads have knockdown, just flat knockdown, which pairs well with the snub-nosed cannon, which has trash on it. And they have point blank, not gunfighter, point blank, which lets you make melee attacks with the snub-nosed cannon and everything that affects that as well. So you can roll up, knock them down, shoot them in the face.
Yeah.
Bulldoze, just getting people out of the way. Repo 3, he's speed 6, he's got Pathfinder.
Yeah.
When you're not slamming into somebody and shooting them, you're also Rat 6, Arcing Fire, Range 10, POW 14, AoE with Repo 3.
Yeah.
Like, you've got decent maneuverability for what is a pretty sturdy tank.
Yeah,
right?
12 hit points on any solo, especially with 18 armor, will keep it on the table for quite a while.
Now, let's talk about what's, we'll talk about the veteran leader in a second because we're going to look at the non-character version, but Ride Along. Ride Along is Slipstream for trolls or minions. If you move past something, you get to Slipstream at 2 inches. With the amount of mobility, the surprising amount of mobility this thing has between Speed 6 and Repo 3, you're going to get that off whenever you want to. It works on any smaller medium-based model in your army. So you're able to reposition fairly well. Now, one thing about these pig tanks is that there is no theme force right now that lets you take them for free.
Yeah.
So we are definitely looking at their point values, because one thing I want to make clear to everybody is this is the current testing version.
Yeah, this is the playtest version. Anytime you see this weird, not really laid out black and white image, just like the CID stuff, this is a playtest thing. It's not final until it looks like a real card.
Yeah. So we are still looking, testing, tweaking. He comes out real soon, next month. So we're hoping that he's pretty close to locked in, but we might make a few changes.
Yeah, we're still testing a couple things. Like we just upped his damage to 12, and we've done a couple of those little tweaks here and there. We're still playing around with a couple of things.
I mean, yeah. Now he's got vet leader, and you'll notice that it says all other pig tank models get +1. So let's look at regular pig tanks. So regular pig tanks are just cheaper. They're 5.
Yeah.
They are very similar. They have arcing fire. They have trash on the snub nose cannon. They have crit knockdown instead of just flat knockdown on their tank treads. They're also repo 3. They also have point blank. They also have bulldoze. What they basically don't have is they don't have ride along. That is a Leadfoot and Treads character special. They don't have innate knockdown. They have crit knockdown.
Yeah.
And you'll see that their stats are Mat 5, Rat 6, which go up to Mat 6, Rat 7 if Leadfoot is nearby in Command 8 with his veteran leader, so that Leadfoot and the regular pig tanks are the same stats. Obviously, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do here with point blank.
Yeah.
You can fell call, like Warcry and that kind of things. And also just, if you have any way of knocking something down that outside of the pig tanks themselves, like the War Wagon, for example, with the Quake gun, then a posse of pig tanks rolls up with arcing fire trash guns, and you basically just get 3 POW 14 Weapon Master shots.
Yeah.
But by themselves, with no one else around, they can charge 9 inches. That's not including any buffs your army might have. Pathfinder, so you're getting there. You don't have to worry about getting a Pathfinder. You're bulldozing people out of the way, which can help you. If you get Leadfoot in first, if he charges and he hits, you auto knock down, then you snub nose cannon, right? Then if the other 2 pig tanks, because it's large bases, can't get in there, they just roll up on the sides and shoot. And then you're looking at a boosted POW 13 from the charge attack, and then 3 more effective boosted POW 14s from the trash. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And Friendly Troll Painter says, how in the world are pigs Rat 6? Well, to drive a tank...
It's the tank tech.
It's the tank tech.
Yeah. There's all kinds of shooting bonuses built into that tank. We don't even know who built it. Somebody was asking, since this is playable in Warmachine and Hordes, did this tank get designed and get stolen before the apocalypse? Don't try to make any logic to the timeline of what's going on with Riot Quest models appearing, because, like, Fiora's coming, and anytime you have versions of existing characters that can fight alongside, Severius Zero and that kind of stuff, it's going to throw things for a loop and going to give you a headache. So just imagine that some super high-tech genius built some pig tanks before the apocalypse, and these guys found them.
Also, just Riot Quest is a cartoon timeline.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not real.
It's alternate universe. It's Elseworlds. Like, it's its own thing. So, now somebody said, I saw a question was, why not give the tanks an ability to buff all construct models and trolls? That would make the battle engine more playable. It just doesn't really fit here.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of creating these things is, we want them to have good rules. We want them to be fun. We want them to be viable, but they also have to thematically make sense. Something that would buff constructs in trolls would definitely be more of a mechanic, because they have that sort of like tech scavenger know-how, but there's specific people kind of built to that, like the Horgles, the people that know how to use the forges would be much more of the buffing construct side. Yeah. These are just maniacs in little snub-nosed tanks.
Yeah, they're an offensive unit, not a support unit like that.
Yeah. Emperor asks, why not Merc 2? And that is because, again, thematically, they just didn't work for mercs. We have a conversation about who works for what. A lot of that comes down to what makes sense for the theme. They're pigs in tanks. They work for Troll Bloods, and they would also work for the Forces of the Wilds as well.
Yeah.
let's see if we have any other questions. Is Creel Company the only troll theme it fits into without using merc slots? Asked Dragon Pup. I believe that is the case, yes.
Yeah, because Partisan makes it Troll Blood, and then it would have a ranged weapon. So it's a solo with a ranged weapon in that faction.
Yeah. Don't Stop says, so Horgle's getting buffed to help constructs. I heard it. I mean, it's not what we said.
That's not what we said.
That's not what we said.
There was a lot of ifs. There's a lot of ifs in there.
The Butcherverse? Somebody, Abara Daniel says, the Butcherverse. I mean, if Riot Quest is like the cartoon verse, is there a Butcherverse? I don't want to live there. It's just nothing but Orsuses running around and their dogs. It sounds horrifying. JP Great One, will this be in Creel Company? Yeah, they're solos with ranged weapons and they're Partisan Troll Blood, so they are already available without using your minion slot in Creel Company. Who is the magical super smart genius that designed the tanks? We'll never know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea. And let's see if we have any other questions before we start wrapping this up.
I haven't seen anything else.
No, it looks like we got to most of the ones that everyone wanted to see. So, cool. I guess that was all we want to talk about today. Yeah. Now, our next week, I believe, is going to be the Potpourri dev chat, where we're going to talk about a variety of things. Or do we have Monpok up next, Tony? Do you remember?
No, we did Monpok last week.
Oh, because I was out.
You were out. Faye and I did Monpok last week. So we've talked about all the November Monpok releases.
Yeah. So we'll be having sort of a catch-all, and we'll be talking a lot of other things. Obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to post them to us on our social media, and we'll try to get to those sometimes whenever we can on the chats. Thanks for hanging out with all of us. We will see you next time. Don't forget to join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Jordan Lamb. He's going to be doing Get Your Paint On.
And you're going to be on there.
Am I going to be on there, Tony? I am.
Yeah, it's a Riot Quest model. Have we announced what he's painting?
He's painting Weird Windell, isn't he?
Yeah. So yeah.
Tony, do you want me to talk about the Weird Windell rules on the stream? The Warmachine rules? We just showed the Riot Quest rules.
Yeah.
Tony gave me the thumbs up, so that just happened live. If you want to find out what Weird Windell does in Warmachine, come join us on Get Your Paint On tomorrow, and I'll spoil all his rules there. Until next time, everybody. Thank you for showing. Everybody who subscribed during the show, thank you very much. For those of you who haven't subscribed yet, we're getting very close to our next unlock. So if you want to subscribe, we'll get that donut factory. And of course, if you have any suggestions on what kind of emojis you would like to see, feel free to shout them out. Until next time, everybody. Bye.
Ooh, all this